to negotiate terms and conditions of pending proposals, contracts, or other appropriate matters, legal matters. And the board would not resume regular meeting at the conclusion of an executive session, should we decide we will enter one. Okay, begin by introductions. On the screen, we have Doug Albertson, our town planner. Welcome, Doug. And if we just go around the room, Steve, would you start, please?
Sure. Steve Williams, town manager.
Cheryl Dutton, member.
Jonathan Spiegel, member.
Kirk Stevens, member.
Matt Jackson, member.
Bob Brevard, member, secretary.
John Rudy, select board.
And Jim Berry.
All right. We have minutes that have been distributed. Bob?
Yep.
Yep.
Two sets, regular meeting
Go ahead.
minutes. Do we want to just do the regular meeting minutes at this point?
I believe so, unless there's, because those matters are not yet finished, correct?
So the regular meeting minutes were circulated.
Are there any?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Kurt.
I move to accept the minutes as written.
That we can.
Has been moved and seconded. Are there any changes or corrections that anyone wants to propose?
No, I'm good. I think
Just one.
I don't think you
He
can do
can't
it.
make the
I
motion.
think someone, that's the chair.
You can't make the motion.
I can't? Oh, okay.
Every week.
I'll take a nap.
Smart
I
plan.
make a motion to accept the minutes, that's
I'll
right.
second that. Okay, no changes. We corrected that faux pas. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
5-0-0. Beth Maroney, our other member, is unable to attend this evening because of business commitments. So we're 5-0-0 on the minutes. Any additions to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll just move into it. Kurt?
Well, I mean, I did have a conversation with Doug about the lot next to Crispy's, so at some point we can.
Yeah, okay,
We can
that
present
would be under development status.
Okay,
Okay. All right, then moving right into it. Do we have any payables tonight? Anybody?
no, I don't have any at this point. I will next time, but
Okay. Site matters, security.
yeah, I did finally, get a couple of guys to board up the openings that can be readily accessed. I mean, there's some that are second floor that nobody's going to get up there. So anyway, that got started today, and he should finish it tomorrow.
Is
So,
it just on the admin building? Or
No.
what building? Are you talking about all of them?
all of them?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's starting with the cruciform.
Yeah, yeah. That's where he started, and he's
Yeah.
got a couple other doors to secure, and we'll have to take another lap around because we got a phone call from the cops, from the police, of course, from Wolverham. Everything comes out of Wolverham now
Oh,
because that's where our dispatch is. There's nobody in the station. Anyway, be that as it may, yeah, they had called up. Actually, they called Jim Cook, who hasn't been doing that for us for some months, and he got a hold of me, and I did a round. It's the same openings that we're aware of. There's no additional ones, but so anyway, that's in progress.
did they make any arrests?
Oh no,
No.
no,
Okay.
I think it was somebody that just drove around and saw openings and called
Called.
the police. Like,
Well, that's helpful.
well, it is, yeah, exactly. That was one of the advantages of putting in Carriage Drive with buildings still standing was, well,
Mhm.
now you'll get a lot of people looking.
Okay. Anything else about upcoming site activities, anybody? Anything in the works? Any groups looking to use the property? Okay, good. Next item, agenda item number 4, status of parcel B and D, parcel B is what you were referring to. That's a piece of land on 202 next to Crispy's.
Actually, no. D is on 21.
B, I
Oh, he
said,
said B.
Oh, B. Okay, yep.
B. So, you wanna-
Okay, that would fall in that, yeah. So anyway, we, have been trying to get that piece separated once and for all, for between the town and EDIC. And, so, Doug Albertson, got a hold of Concom to put to mark the wetland line. And then I came in just a day or two later, and it's even less restrictive than I would have thought. Yeah, so I got a hold of Doug and said, at this point, I don't see any reason why we can't separate that off and try to sell it.
Shall we ask Doug for the results?
And there he
the
is with
survey?
his smiling face.
Doug, please.
I plan to go out there Friday with our conservation administrator. She hasn't really even looked at it yet, so we'll get back to you and see what she says. But you might be right.
Once in a while I am.
Yeah, you
So
were.
what's-
It was probably 20 years ago.
Yeah. So
Been a while.
what are the steps that
I'm
remain to make that piece marketable?
Okay, assuming you have a buildable piece of property, we will have our survey finished, and that'll create an A&R plan, which will separate your building lot from what would then go to, the rest of it would go off to Lake Wallace. And that's all you'd have to do in this manner. Other than that, to market it is just slap a sign up there and find somebody to buy it.
So
Yeah.
that's this Thursday, the 21st, that you're going with the Concom admin?
Friday.
Friday
Right.
afternoon.
21st.
Yeah.
Now, what's going to, they are going to be able to hook up to water and sewer there, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, the Public Works would have plans. I know the sewer's on that side. I don't remember where the water is, if it's on that
Well,
side.
Crispy's must have water, so.
Right.
Say that. Crispy's.
Well, I think their service might go to the other side of Route 202.
No, yeah, that could be.
We had the
It does.
tunnel under 202.
We
I
did.
remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that was Sue.
Drilled under 202, right? Stu?
so I guess the answer is yes, it's available, but they may have to
Spend money.
drill a line underneath 202 to get the
Yeah, the
water.
same way.
Unless the line to Crispy's is big enough and they can
Eventually, they
split
should
it.
do that.
That's
And they left a couple steps up, though. You have to survey
Right.
A&R plan.
Right.
A&R plan has to go to the planning board.
Yep.
Council is going to have to do a property transfer for the remaining land. National Trust Town for full.
So there are several steps.
Yes.
So
there's-
we're looking at 90 to 120 days.
Oh, easily.
Right.
Yeah, so spring, I would
Spring.
suspect that you might be able to market that property.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll get a clear answer or a closer to clear answer on Friday.
And Doug, the Trails grant is covering the cost of the survey, is that right?
Our
Is it-
existing community preservation grant is going to cover that. We still have some money in that pot.
Right, okay, great. So the end result will be a lot for EDIC to market, a layout for the trails that does not cross the lot, not, therefore we won't need an easement. And the boundary for Lake Wallace will be set finally at a position where the town, everybody can really fully enjoy it. It'll be a finished piece of work.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. So at our next meeting, we may have additional information based upon whatever happens out in the field. Please keep us posted.
I shall.
Thank you. Sherry, were you planning to go
To,
Friday?
no. Yeah, I was just looking for the date on my notes. So when I wrote Friday here, I just wanted to be
Got
sure
it,
that
okay.
that was the Friday he intended.
Okey dokey. Parcel Any other questions about parcel B?
Well, about parcel B, where was the access? Was that coming in at the intersection?
The intersection is 50, 75 feet west of Crispy's entrance. There was, Steve designed that intersection with the possibility of having signal controlled into a single entrance that might be shared by Crispy's or even not shared by Crispy's. It could be a signal controlled entrance.
At this point, it's
The
so far
electronics.
away from Crispy's. I don't think
Well, it depends on what they decide to do. I mean, that's just,
Right.
right, that'll be up to the new owners and to discuss that, but this lot would still have a possibility. The electronics are not in place for signal control.
They'd have to change some signal heads, but yes.
The signal heads, it's not a big deal. Signal
We
heads,
aligned everything so that somebody could put a driveway in.
yeah. So that was some forethought and good. That'll probably increase the value of the piece too.
What is the underlying zoning right there?
Doug, zoning?
General business, B2, general business,
General business.
or limited
Okay.
business. Now you put me on the spot. I'll get back to you.
Okay, next week.
Yeah,
Parcel D then. Let's update us, Kirk, on parcel D.
I haven't heard anything back from Amanda Newmiller. I just dropped her an email Monday, I believe. I haven't heard anything back, but at this point, I'm not sure. It seems as though there's another delay as to the legality, I guess. And I don't know if Doug can chime in with anything addition to it, but it's a little confusing to me as to why they're waiting for. We seem to have sent we sent them all the stuff that you gave me as to what we can and can't do, and they're
Yeah.
still like nervous about it. I guess I don't know.
That's kind of weird, but yeah, I mean, it's I sent you that little section of state law and the whole works.
Right.
The road commissioners who are in our town are the select board, have the authority to lay out a public way. It's that simple.
And they've done it twice before. 3 times. It's Front Street, Carriage Drive, Industrial Drive.
Yep.
This will be the 4th. time.
Right.
And every one of those was addressed through an MOU.
So I spoke with Amanda Newmiller yesterday. She called me because she couldn't join us tonight. And she said, what she told me was that, not Amanda Amanda DeGrace
Right.
yesterday. And she said she had heard from Amanda Newmiller, whose section of mass development is funding the work in parcel D, the grant that we received. She heard that they were finalizing language for the grant extension. They have to write a grant extension, which is part of their process, I guess. Makes sense. I mean, we're
Okay.
using the leftover monies.
Yeah.
And all of the items are in the grant extension. They were working on the language that covers what we were just talking about. That what the select board has the authority to approve a road that doesn't conform. The language sounded like they wanted a commitment from the town to approve it. And I said, that's probably inappropriate at this stage because the select board hasn't yet met on the matter. But really, because any new developer is going to want to take charge of what that looks like, what you need to have in there is language that simply states that the road layout on the map will be a conceptual road, indicating possibilities, and that there is a process for the select board, should they choose, to approve a road that is not conforming, which does not require them to make an early commitment or pre-commitment. But she was going to take that to Amanda Newmiller. She understood the difference, and she explained that Amanda Newmiller's section of mass development that controls these site development grants is in a different section that Amanda DeGrace and Robert are in. So they have their own lawyer, and it's one of those. I expressly underlined the need to make this thing move quickly, and that the survey was critical so that the map could be filed, and then the town could deal with whatever it has to deal with and transfer the 10 acres. And, you know, I reinforced the idea that all that's needed for surveyors to go out with 2 strings and 1 pin and just run the lines because the other pins are there.
I mean, it's all, that's all done.
She understood, and
Yeah.
she was gonna call Amanda Newmiller yesterday afternoon after I spoke.
Okay.
Review that with her, just to clarify that.
Right.
So hopefully that language will be clear enough for Amanda Newmiller's section to accept. That's it. That's all we need, right, Matt? I mean, we just need the statement that it's a conceptual thing, because that's how we market it anyway.
Yeah.
We're not gonna build the road.
Correct.
Right, so that'll help us. move forward.
Doug, the maps that I brought last time, and it had the conceptual on there from Ty and Bond going the full distance, and then every 600 feet had a little notation saying for every additional 600 feet beyond the first 600.
Yeah, they got to take that out. That's a subdivision, and it's from the
Well,
old.
yeah, it was that it needed to have 12 acres.
Nope.
of-
Nope.
Okay, well, I just want to make
No.
sure.
Just tell them no.
Yeah, we do have all the land that abuts the high school on the other side of the stream that we're not going to be able to use. That would go towards that anyway.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you can totally ignore that.
Yeah.
So I also reinforced to Amanda DeGrace that the map's already done. Ty and Bond did the map. It shows a conceptual road through the property. That was part of their original thing. It shows all the borings, it shows the wetland delineations and the setbacks and so on. That whole set of maps exists already. All they need to do is get out there and put that corner pin in so the town can take care of the 10 acres.
I thought that, and Doug is gonna chime in, he'll know the answer. I thought that there was some issue where you were gonna get them out there there was a possibility exists that the wetlands, we might have to get further away. You said some meetings ago that they'd be looking at the wetlands again.
Well, I suppose they would need to have a current delineation because wetlands change. But
And with the addition of the town property too, squaring it off.
yeah, you still have to do that A&R for the town property to join it to yours.
Right.
So
And when the maps were delivered, so it's good, remember, it said that when the maps were delivered, the addition of the 10 acres allowed additional development in the very end of the property.
yeah, that
Because
was the
of
whole
the
point.
more flexibility to where the road could go.
Where
so
the
that was
road could
also-
go on its level too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had just had in my notes that they wanted to revisit
yeah.
the delineation.
So all of that's in the grant, they're covering it all.
Good. I have your zoning
will enforce
answer.
that,
The zoning of parcel B is limited business, B1.
Okay, thank you.
So there potentially is a hiccup with having the select board vote to lay out a public way. The last 3 were done for either the town or mass development to build a roadway. If you're gonna sell this with the expectation that a private developer is going to build the roadway, I don't know if the select board will go along with that.
Which is why we couldn't put in language that committed the select board at this stage into the grant extension.
Yeah, well,
So
if
we'll have to figure out how to work this going forward as
Yeah.
we get ready to market the property.
and if the select board
I tend to
chooses
feel
to not lay it out, then it would end up being a subdivision.
To the planning board, right?
Right.
Right.
Now we're favoring one developer over another.
But if we have the whole thing all set up and approved and then sell it to whoever comes forth. That's, I mean, all along, that's what I've been aiming towards.
Well, yeah, you could, it's basically, you're basically laying out the road, and then having, it's like getting a grant. You have someone else to pay for building it. Now, if something happens where it needs to be realigned, then you'd have to alter the layout. That's all. I think it's not as complex as it is.
Are we creating lot lines on the business lot lines or?
There are on the maps, there are
Conceptual.
conceptual lot lines, correct, on the map.
Nothing's being.
It was never
created in
intended to
stone.
be a plot plan. This was always, as Ty and Bond was asked to give us what they think commercially and what they think is buildable on this, so they drew some lines. The road itself is a conceptual road, and it's already on the map.
I tend to feel a little more positively towards our select board of approving, even for a private contractor, for industrial, for business use, not another subdivision with a bunch of,
Right.
more houses like other developers who have been denied.
It's for the benefit of the town,
It is-
not the
It's for the
developer.
benefit of the town, exactly. So I tend to feel more positively that the selectmen are going to welcome in
Mhm.
industry and business, and if it takes a little,
Yeah.
Well, and let's face it, I mean, they're talking about the limitations are subdivision laws.
Yeah.
We don't even have a subdivision, industrial zone at this point. It wasn't made for that. It was made for residential purposes, but
Well,
be that as it may, it's
I
something
mean,
we
it's
need
still
to.
something that you'd have to go to them for, they'd have to
Exactly.
approve it. But I still feel a little more positively towards it as opposed to a residential, street that developer asking for a leeway.
It
That
seems like it,
they
yeah.
want it done, well,
And certainly, here's a representative right here, it's like, okay, are there any as we go forward, do you and your, other four members see any issues that you have objected to and, we can work together on it?
Yeah, I don't want to speak for the board, so
Yeah,
this would
right.
be a great thing to bring in front of the board.
Right.
To have a discussion.
And I think Steve is giving us some indication that it's a more unusual event with a private developer. And therefore,
not a guarantee.
we can't give a guarantee
Right,
at this point.
exactly.
So that's why we're talking about it as conceptual and so on.
It's
And
another,
that'll be part of what we lay out as the facts of the property when we market it. Right, we're just, okay. I don't disagree with you, Jerry. I'm just saying, it's like,
So, I wonder, can I interject here, across the way, the complexity of the drive approaches to Tractor Supply and the bank, and, there's a couple of ways to go in there. None of that is a public way, I would assume.
no,
private.
that's all private.
That's all private.
Yeah.
So this parcel could essentially have a private way that goes up there, it doesn't have to be a public way, right?
I don't know.
Could be. Somebody
if you
could buy
want-
the parcel and just put in their own.
And
own
gain the
driveway.
road frontage, I see, because the other triangular parcel has a huge amount of road frontage on the existing way. Oh, I see.
Our earliest attempts at subdividing, we had a plan, a division plan, and the road only went in so far. And the remainder, 600 feet, the remainder was to be a private way because we did not have this opportunity. So now we've got lots of facts to put on the table with somebody. And we'll just have to figure out how to approach this as we put it up for sale. Okay, anything else? Moving right along. That's very good, but we've got, hopefully it's gonna be ready. National Grid. Steve, any progress there?
Yeah, I think the conversation though should probably wait until Masthead is available because.
Okay,
What I found out is there's quite a bit of history between Masthead and National Grid on this. National Grid does not want to pull the wires through the conduits because the conduits are 6 years old.
No.
And they have to be retested. They only allow 2 years between testing. So man go through and make sure that there's no crushed pipes or broken pipes.
Mhm.
But once they do that, they'll allow them to pull the wires through. The wires, if left unused, also have a shelf life. So what they're saying is if you don't have somebody connecting to them and these wires are just sitting in the ground energized, then potentially, depending on the length of time it takes, those wires could also be, needing to be replaced, which is an added expense. That's
That's a big expense.
Mass Development knows about all this, so I don't understand why they're blaming National Grid. It sounds like they might be making the right decision to say, when we have somebody to come in, we'll get the connection there. National Grid is saying, this isn't a problem. You have power coming. So, when I talked about marketing, they said, why aren't you marketing?
Exactly.
This isn't something that should be holding you up.
It's not a question of whether or not you'll have power, it's just when.
It's a timing issue.
So it's cart and horse.
Yeah. So
What is electrifying the streetlights along there?
that's a separate.
Separate run?
Yeah, it's 208, whatever,
Okay.
separate run through a separate time. Yeah, this is the high voltage three-phase power that's going through, so.
Underground.
So it's, I don't think there's a problem. I
Yeah, exactly.
just think there's a disconnect somewhere, with somebody saying market the property. If somebody comes in and wants to buy a piece of property and says, I'm gonna put a factory up, by the time they get through the planning board and the site plan and the purchase and sale,
They'll have juice.
Yeah, we said that.
it'll be there.
Couple of that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an issue, so. But I think we need to have a conversation with Masthead rather than belabor it tonight, because it's just,
So the answer's gonna be, gotta
let's get somebody in there.
get somebody in there. I mean,
Yeah.
that's, Mass Dev isn't gonna do anything different. Right,
Yeah, unless they wanna pay, then potentially have to pay a
pay a
second
second
time.
time.
But
And reinstalling
regardless,
the lines will be more expensive than testing the conduit.
they do have to test a conduit no matter what.
Right,
But then, yes, if somebody doesn't tie in within a certain period of time.
Pull all that.
wires-
3-phase wire, that would be very expensive.
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
thank you, Steve. Thanks for following up on that.
Yeah. No problem.
So it's still we still have to get to marketing.
It all goes back to marketing.
Right.
And
Okay.
Speaking of which, we had a difficulty with the past realtor before, as far as putting his signs in the wrong place and not putting them. Now, who's gonna tell them, get those things out of here?
Well, Mass Dev should have told them that as part of their conversation, saying we just need to find out if they do
Okay.
that.
But they're still up.
I know they are.
And
Yeah,
I've called in the past
Beth and I were.
when they put it up in front, they came over and put it up in front of the power plant when it was still standing. It's like, no, not this side of the road, that side. It took them a month to get it moved, but
All right.
Yeah, but as their contract was with Mass Dev.
Yeah.
Mass Dev's gotta be the ones to say, come and get your
Good.
signs.
I'll report that to Amanda.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on the site? Lamson Brook Farm Board, I have an update for you. I'm the EDIC's representative on the Lamson Brook Farm Board, which is established by the legislature to divide up the farm parcels and find new owners to take care of it into the future. The larger commercial agricultural fields will go to MDR, Mass Department of Ag Resources, into their program for leasing fields. But they will be under the conservation and use restrictions that have existed on those fields up till now. So they'll not be um, herbicides and so on those fields. They'll be following,
So they're certified organic fields.
they have been. And so when the transfer takes place, now I think I reported the SV lease was extended because of the delays in approval at DCAM from the state to the required steps of approving and reporting the management plan and approving and reporting the survey of the divided up property. Those steps have now been completed, and Mass Development, in fact, was joined, DCAM joined the meeting 2 weeks ago and participated fully. And they have approved both the management plan and the survey plan and reported that to the legislature as required in the legislation. And so the next steps are to solidify conservation restrictions and preservation restrictions, and work with DCAM to construct a process that is acceptable and consistent with state rules and regulations for issuing RFPs for the various components. And at some future meeting, I can go into more detail if the board likes about what all those different sections are and what they,
I just have a quick question.
Sure,
on that.
go ahead.
Does all of that land have to remain agriculture land?
No,
So they will, in effect, could they be our competition?
you could ask the question a little bit differently. No, it could be,
So,
but
no.
the dairy complex is considered to be the agricultural business section for agricultural related businesses, like a food processing center or a canning center or meat processing center or something like that, which is not likely on our property.
But not like a retail.
Correct.
Staff. That's what I'm saying.
Well, they could have retail shops as part of a food processing or whatever, but it'll be related to activities on the farm
Happening on
parcels.
the farm.
The community farm parcel, which is the core of the property, the community farm parcel will continue essentially as it is now. There could be some farm worker housing that goes up, be a small amount. That's highly regulated farm worker housing. And it's not something that would compete with anything we would be doing.
That like what the Nipmuc thing has proposed, that.
They proposed something that was different, and it was a little more traditional type housing, but it was for people who would be farming there.
Right.
So it'd be related to that. The community farm parcel in the core of the farm essentially will remain as it is, and those farmers can and do have farm stands and so on. And that's the nature of the agricultural related, all of it's agricultural related activity,
Right,
business
right.
activity. Steve?
So just some food for thought. I've been working with some local, small businesses. And one of the things that seems to be lacking in town is a place for, these businesses to set up like a winter market, the farmer's market in particular. And I know that the horse farm used to have the stone soup.
Long
Oh,
time.
that's right. Stone Soup Farm. I
Stone
remember.
soup farm in it.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a good thing for the community if that space could be opened back up and people who sell, homemade bread or baked goods would have a place to set up. And it's a great central location and it would draw a lot of people.
Yeah. It has had those operations in the horse farm, as you report.
Yeah.
They were challenging to maintain, as, I don't want to disparage anything. They were challenging to supervise, so let's put it that way.
Mhm.
And it would require significant, because we wrote grants, and SV wrote grants to put in a farm kitchen or a processing kitchen.
Yeah, they don't need a kitchen at this time. They're just looking for a place.
No, and I understand. The structure itself needs a significant investment to
But
do
they
that.
did get a grant and they started on that.
For the roof,
A lot of
That's,
the,
that's just for the roof and the supporting,
right.
the 2 posts and some
I
carrying
mentioned
beams.
that there was some work that you,
Yeah, and that'll solidify the roof.
there's a lot of interest, so, you know, that's something that,
You should call members of the NESB board about that. They don't have to wait for our development or even for the, I mean, their lease goes till 2029 now.
Yeah, the NSV.
And in all likelihood, an up and running business would make anyone who responds to an RFP make it more attractive.
Well, the cottage industries,
Yeah.
cottage bakers and everybody, they are clamoring,
Yeah.
which is, you know,
yeah, people don't make soap. We get candles being made in town, we have bread, we have these different things, and there's no place.
I think that would be a great conversation for you to have with Nestle. It wouldn't be,
You could place a new Braintree that had a commercial kitchen.
right,
And they were growing beef there, and they were doing some food processing, and, yeah.
I mean, over the years, there have been many different kinds of plans. Burt's Beans was originally gonna take the whole dairy complex and have their own processing of food and so on and so forth for sale.
You know who I could talk to about that, Jim?
I think it's good timing. I think that would be an excellent thing. Good for the town, too. The aroma of fresh bread wafting across, you'll have to keep the guys and women in the physical plant on that side of the street.
No, I used to drive by it every
just
day.
when you talk to that person, bring a loaf of that nice warm bread with you.
Okay.
Nice candle.
Yeah, you know, there you go.
Okay, so I think that's the report on the Lamson Brook Farm Board updates.
Right.
Communication planning for the community and with the community, that's still on.
It's still on. I talked with Kate. We were gonna check on the, you know, because you signed, the select board signed, but at their last meeting, we asked Deb, hadn't signed yet and returned it back yet. Have they yet?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't check today, so I don't know.
Right.
The MOU.
So I'm reluctant to put an announcement out there when they haven't signed it.
Well, I would hope so, because it's the deadline today.
Yeah.
Oh, Monday was the deadline, or today was
I
the
mean,
deadline?
that's,
That's signed, he's got a copy of it, right?
Oh, they signed it?
With their signature?
Mass
Mass
Development.
Deb has signed it?
Yeah.
So then it's signed.
Okay, all right. So would you give Kate a copy, or do you have, because I don't have one? Okay, and then we'll just talk about just putting the bulletin out. We can put it on the town
Get
website.
over to that side of the office, so.
We'll put it on the town website, you know, on our page.
The
I
extent,
think that would be appropriate, that we've extended it. I'm not so much sure that we want to put that on the social pages.
Why not?
I don't know, part of me thinks it'll stir up more ire than praise.
so,
I'd rather,
Be open about it.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. We want everything open air, full transparency, for quote my pal, Mr. Ritter over there. So we can put it on the social pages as well, the town of Belchertown. Hey, maybe it'll be the first time we get to use that seal,
ooh,
the new town logo, not seal, logo.
well done. There are elements of the actual 2-page document which would be really good to communicate. If you're not gonna put the
Let
whole
me
document.
know, no, the whole document won't be there.
Then, you know, especially like the objectives that we had inserted,
Exactly.
those really are, you know, it's a piece of work, and we got Mass Development to agree to
Yep.
that. Okay. If you want, you can get a little dialogue about that at some point.
Even, you know, if you want to send me something. You are
This is gonna
a
be,
prolific writer as well. You know, if
Yes,
you wanted to send me points that you wanted incorporated in, be sure to. Or if more importantly, if
can,
there's
I will,
anything
but
in
I
there
got-
that you don't want,
I got a show I'm doing this weekend. So it's-
then make it be something you don't want. You know, if there's something that
Yeah,
is
okay,
easily misunderstood.
okay, yeah. I'll send you something.
Are you doing a press release to general newspapers around here also?
I am not the communications manager.
Oh, sorry, I thought we were talking about communications.
We are talking about
Oh, I thought you-
communications, but
I thought
my
you-
charge is to work with the
I thought
town's
you were liaison
communication.
with them, sorry.
No,
she'll send it to us.
yeah.
She'll take care of it.
All right.
It's not works, you could use that or whatever.
That's it, you know,
So, at a recent meeting, members and a select board member were reading from a website, comments about what we're doing. I don't even know what that website is. Could you inform the rest of the board how we might be able to see those things rather than let them sit somewhere for weeks and months and so on, so that we can address
well, here's,
questions and issues that are coming up?
it's social media where the things come up
Right,
and where we get trashed. And
Right.
There hasn't been much praise, to be honest with you. A lot of, so you would have to, each one of you, or, you know, there is I don't want to conflate the town's things. There's stuff that's up to us to communicate, not the town's communication. And given this quasi, maybe corporation, maybe not, you know, we're still ironing that all out, but I don't want to put that on the town. We can certainly, I have posted as when we had the people talking about, oh, we'll use the trails all the time, the horse trails, you know, through parcel D. I posted as a member of the Belchertown EDIC, you know, where I could post not as, where you have to specify, posting on my own, not as a member of the town, you know, like our librarian has
That's
to
good.
do that,
Yeah,
and other
that's
people
good.
have to do that all the time. Just identify yourself, but you do have to knock down an untruth the second it's out there, because on social media, a lie travels faster than anything, or a mistruth. So that's something that we need to decide, how do we want to combat that, you know, and then you know, got to
yeah, I
pay
think,
attention to open meeting laws, that we can't actually have a discussion about it. So, you know, we would need to predetermine, you know, what we do. My thing is to always say, as I do in person, to tell people when they have a misconception, I will set them straight, tell them, our meetings are posted, they are open, you know,
sure.
tune in, come in,
So I
dial
think
in.
my point was, I think the first step in being able to respond and keep the public record as accurate as possible is awareness.
Right.
And I have no idea what the websites are. If you could share where we could look individually, should we choose to.
Well, you're not seeing it. I know, I'm pretty
I
sure.
try to stay off most of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I know.
Yeah, I don't
try
even
to
want to
stay
go.
off of
Yeah,
those
I'm pretty
stuff.
sure, you know, I believe that has as well. But I mean, you're gonna join Facebook, you're gonna
Yeah,
join
exactly. I
Instagram,
mean, you're
that's what you
just
gotta do.
Getting into a whole
Well, I have a
other world.
Facebook account. I just don't know where to go to find out that this is
So
happening.
you need to join the.
It was
the
terribly
groups.
disturbing to hear things that have been out there in the ether for months and years with people talking about it, and we didn't know. That is not good service to the town. If there's something that's the reason I'm asking for this, so that we can be aware of what people are concerned about and respond to it.
So I'm not in that other forum. I don't know if you are. I'm in the polite one because I can't stand the other one. So I can't object, but that's the one that has the most trash talk, is that other one.
I stay out of them both, just because there's
It-
good
that's
people
just
trashing
it.
good
It's
people,
just-
so I don't.
I just invite people to the meeting. I don't try and, you know, but I did say it was private property, you know, when they were inviting the whole world to come and ride their horses.
Can you share the name of the Facebook group?
It's, well, in my case, it's the Polite Community, Polite Community Forum, the Belchertown Polite Community
Which is
Forum.
That's the name of it?
Yeah,
There's also
Which is-
Belchertown Forum, but you have to take that stuff with a grain of salt, because there's people who don't even live in Belchertown that just,
are all over.
yeah, they'll troll the internet to get
Yeah.
on these things and try to drum up trouble,
Yeah,
you know.
so there's that unpaused one, and then there's the Belchertown Forum, and then there's this Polite Forum. Which, Jonathan, send me a friend
Well-
request, and then I'll invite you to the group.
I mean, I have no desire to be on any of these things.
Right.
And I don't want to waste my time scrolling, trying to find something that I need to reach out and say, hey, you know, this isn't right. you're off base here. We're not gonna get into that.
No, but at some point,
But-
I do believe we will need our own page, our own social media page, the way the Creative Economy Committee has theirs, the library has one, others. As we are gotten things
Okay.
going and,
Yeah,
and
You're
doing
absolutely right.
all of that stuff, we will need that. We don't currently have anything to say to anybody on a
Right.
social media basis. But we will need to come up with a page, and we will need to assign somebody to be the admin of the page.
Once we start marketing, this is when we have to do. You can't come out now because
No,
we don't have good form
No,
right now.
but that's what
Until we have something to sell.
No, I agree with
The
that.
second we
I'm
have
just,
something to
I'm
sell.
just, I want to avoid us not being aware of things we should be addressing. So that's really why I'm asking. I don't plan to be on there every day, all day. But,
Well, we can bring.
if
them to
something
you
comes
on a
up, I could
regular
go and
basis.
read and so on and so forth, and then we'll bring it up. Okay.
We can also, on a more regular basis, or take screenshots and send them. You don't necessarily have to belong to see it, as long as somebody else, can send that to just check on how to reply. All of those things are possible. But the second we get for sale signs up there, we get that page going and, just
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
It's like share, know anybody? Share, send them this, send them that, and then.
So I have
it's
to
pretty
say, I
easy.
really do appreciate your intent to save me and others from the slings and arrows of discontent.
Look, and in business, these days, in business, you have to be on.
Yeah, I have to be on, but
You have to. That's quite prolific. I
Okay.
love this video.
Enough time here. Anyone who wants to, and just remember
Yeah.
Sherry's admonition that if you're gonna respond, you respond as a private citizen, et cetera.
identifying yourself though.
You have to identify yourself.
Identify
When you think.
Okay, moving right along, so to
Yes.
speak. Anything else about communication we need to handle? Sherry?
Just that if you have time
I
to
will.
send me something, and feel
Yeah,
free,
I'll
I'm
try
not
to
just
do-
limiting it to Jonathan, anybody,
Yeah.
because I don't have that document.
You don't have it? I sent it.
Well, I know, that's all completely signed,
Oh, the
finished,
signed,
the new
It
paragraph,
hasn't
whatever.
changed though. Okay.
But if it hasn't changed, well, I'll just take the one that says, I'll work with Kate, but if you have any advice, if you have any things you want, everybody, just send it.
Did you receive that by email?
No, I think I was handed it here.
Oh.
I think Steve handed it to me,
Well, because they would have had to.
the sign.
The sign
No,
fully
the one that
executed,
Mass Development
Maybe I
signed.
did. I don't know.
the one with Mass
Doesn't really
Development
matter, we have
signature.
it, so we'll
Right.
get it posted.
We'll get it posted.
Okay, moving right along. Thank you, Sherry.
I can't remember what I did this morning, so.
Keep going, Bomba.
Okay. EDIC office,
Oh,
so.
Did you wear a mask?
Beth
This
and-
is why I'm here.
Beth and Sherry, did a first deep dive into the office. And where did I put those?
I have,
Yeah, okay. So Sherry's gonna let us know what she found and how this process started and what may happen next. And Steve also?
Just
Okay.
here to
He's here.
witness.
do you want to share that with Jim and John? Out there. So, I will tell you, the HVAC system in this building works tremendously well down in the basement. I
You would
forgot
think how they
to,
arise,
I
right?
forgot to tell Beth to come in her shorts and flip flops.
Oh, yeah.
And she was dressed for weather. And it's about 85, 90, 85 degrees down there. And it is not as dusty as you may think, but I was so deeply disappointed when I first walk in the door. There's a giant, you guys, aware of, a giant like diorama of what the original campus looked like. And all the old buildings are
Right.
right on
Oh,
there.
yeah.
It's beautiful. It got water damage and it didn't get pressed down flat, so it's all like curled up and stuff like that. It's savable. We can certainly get somebody to maybe
So
put
the
to
buildings are
plywood.
there, but the topography has changed.
That most everything has changed when you look at that, but it is a nice piece, and I understand in the basement of Tagil, there's more of those kinds of things. So, we did go in there. There were boxes piled on top of boxes. I've never seen so many rolled up plans in my life.
Yeah.
All over, so not knowing. Beth was, like, she was tackling boxes on top of the desks and everything else. And, I'm like, if I were, and when did this happen? Or should it have happened for bylaws and, establishing a corporation and everything else? I moved everything out from in front of the file cabinet. And I said, no, they didn't have all this papers at the time it would be done. I'll bet anything this stuff is in the file cabinet. And it was. As soon as I got everything out of the way, pulled up the bylaws, pulled up all of the paperwork and all the legal stuff it was Bacon Wilson for the 501c6, I believe. But don't quote me on that. Beth has it all. But it doesn't look like it was ever recorded anyway. I mean, there's signatures on it, on these things. Steve Lanfear's signature is on a lot of it. So I did put in a call, left a voicemail for Steve Lanfear. Hopefully, if he has any recollection of where it went from its creation.
But the attorney should.
Yeah, but
Attorney's office
we're talking 20 years ago.
Yeah,
When
still they
Steve
should have.
Lanfear was the thing. They should have something, but to know why it didn't go so the Secretary of State has nothing on us being a corporation. So all the 501 stuff never got recorded anywhere. But there are bylaws that were adopted at the time and signed, but again, not recorded anywhere. And the bylaws tend to, they don't seem to go hand in hand with the legislation that created them. Like if you read what you have here, and I think then a subsequent email actually, like about electing officers, the legislation says that Steve appoints the chair and the vice chair. And in this case, Steve, it says the appointing authority. So a year ago, it would have been the select board. Now it's Steve that would appoint the chair and the vice chair, according to the legislation, which Steve handed us the last time, all written out. But the bylaw says that we hold annual elections, for those positions, and then and she's looking them over. Beth and I both felt that we needed legal advice. First, find out, are these things in force? Or were they just, we're gonna, and we didn't? Because all the evidence says nothing was done.
Well, I think what you said was there's no evidence it was recorded.
Right.
But there are bylaws Right.
We found old bylaws
Right.
down there.
and
It does,
corporate status documents and so on.
well, I don't have,
They made, I know you,
yeah,
but
the applications are there,
they exist.
application.
They exist. So it's something we could work with as we find out what to do with them.
Well,
Certainly the bylaws would be helpful if we've adopted them, which it appears we have according to your report.
but but how were they done legally in the right way? We don't know any of this.
We don't know if the bylaws are legal.
Well, we don't, it says in the legislation that you have to have bylaws and they all have to be done, but also the whole corporate thing. If we didn't do the corporate thing, could we do the bylaws with, I don't know how to have bylaws without a corporation. Are all
I
of,
guess, let me see if I can raise my question a little differently. One of the things that we said we were going to work on is our own administration
Mhm,
and governance.
right,
And if there are bylaws, they should spell out at least a good portion of the governance.
which we didn't read them down in the basement. Beth took them to look over them,
I
and she said
understand.
she looked over them.
All I'm suggesting is that even if they haven't been recorded, if there's a structure that this board initially agreed to implement, then we have something we can follow. It doesn't have to be recorded for us to follow it. If it's a good enough set of guidelines for our governance, our behavior.
I belong to a housing association and had a set of bylaws, and nothing was ever recorded, but we all obviously,
We're gonna find out.
followed the letter of the law. When we had meetings, we had the neighborhood associations, we had meetings, we did plantings, we discussed things about
Yeah.
where the path would be in a
When you were
subdivision.
in-
And nothing was recorded. It was for our benefit that we created the bylaws. Wasn't a requirement of law that we
Yeah,
recorded.
in this case, it appears to be a requirement of law.
Well, I
I think
don't-
what Cheryl's saying is, we don't know if we're even a corporation, then we had bylaws, but you gotta kind of put the cart before the horse, maybe.
Which is why,
I think the
Not
bylaws is
legal.
lesser of the issue. Now, I think the issue right now is what was supposed to be filed in the second.
Okay.
what was supposed to be, how often do we have to file, what kind of financials, paperwork and everything, because we've never filed anything with anybody. And, near as we can tell, Beth, expressed that we had some amount of funds and we get a legal opinion. So right down there in the basement, I suggested that it didn't matter what our lawyer was gonna say. Steve was gonna get the town council to look at anything, to make sure the town side is protected, and that maybe we just go to one lawyer and share the costs of a lawyer determining, what we need to do, the status of a corporation versus just a committee. And then looking at the bylaws, because we didn't read them, while we looked through them, but like I said, we're cart before the horse if we want to follow something that we don't really need. And then, the assumption on, like I always thought that EDIC was completely autonomous, that the select board and the town didn't have a say in what happened. But the select board has to sign the document, so that's, can't be true.
If
What document?
if in fact they have to sign the document, because the
See,
law
now,
may have changed in the 35 years since this was created.
What document are you referring to? Oh,
Corporation.
anything, I mean, I was, when it was a separate corporation, totally separate from the town, but we're not really a corporation. I mean.
well, we
we're-
are so that we are set up so that we can buy and sell land.
The legislation did that,
Right.
yes.
And the subsequent legislation, the second piece of legislation. We can receive funds
Mhm.
of different types. We can receive profits from sales.
But this is just a question of sending it to, we found these, new discovery.
Okay, so you're suggesting that we engage a council to explore
What is required?
what is required currently? What, if anything, has ever been filed? We don't know.
Correct.
So, and then lay out a course of action with some clarity about not just our current status, but then looking forward,
Looking forward, what steps do we need to follow? What do we need to
Okay.
do? Do these bylaws that were adopted, like in a meeting just like this, are they in force? Is it something that would have also required signing off on the part of that, at the time, the select board? We approve of your bylaws because we were not.
yeah, that's not
It's
mentioned in the
legal,
legislation.
and that's exactly what, when we were looking at it, we were both going above our pay grade, and I believe that's either sent an email or sent something with Steve
I didn't
about,
talk to her directly, but I had the email sent to her.
and what about the town, I thought you contacted about town council, about talking about legal.
Yeah, and I said, let's wait and see what the board wants to do, so, I mean, EDIC is a body politic corporate, which is a term that Mass General Law uses, which the town of Belchertown is a body politic corporate, the Belchertown Housing Authority uses. But there's always a little bit of overlap. There's always partnerships that are to be had, like even with the housing authority, the town of Belchertown gets to appoint one member of an elected board. The rest of the board will be elected, there's also a government seat. So there's always a little bit of overlap. I think, the questions are, what role does the town have? I mean, we partner on a lot of things. That's why we're a party to the MOU, because there's responsibilities of the
Right.
town. Maintaining the roadway until it's accepted at town,
Right.
you know, all of those things. It doesn't mean we have control or don't have control over certain aspects of the EDIC. And I think it'd be nice if we could get council to weigh in on that, weigh in on, you know, what corporate documents should have been filed. There doesn't seem to be anything on file with the Secretary of State. What that means, and, you know, the bylaws, I mean, the bylaws may just be your guidelines. They may not be an official bylaw that needs to be posted at the town clerk. I don't know.
Which is what we were
So
talking about.
these are all things that I think need to get ironed out, and I agree that if the EDIC has some leftover funds from last year, you know, your mass dev funds, that would be a good place to use them to try to, you know, sort some of this out.
So with respect to engaging a firm or a lawyer to do that, what are the steps? What should we do?
Well, I think as long as town council doesn't object, you're more than welcome to engage with them.
Okay,
Because
I think that's good. They can see both.
Well, yeah,
if there is a question that I need to answer, I would do the same thing, so it would certainly save some money in the long run, probably on both parties.
and time too. If we were to, if town council declines, feeling with some kind of conflict, I would suggest we go back to Bacon and Wilson, since they appear to have,
And
they're
then they
gonna,
have record of what happened.
you know, all over everything, and they would have some sort of record we don't have. To
In all
that-
likelihood, it would have been their responsibility to file documents once they were completed and signed.
And you may want to work with them anyways, if that's the case, yeah. If
Certainly, you
work
want
with
to
them-
ask whether they've got
Well,
a.
Beth currently has all the documents, so if she were here, she, you know, have them here, we can talk with Beth, get the documents, you know, get her to scan them in and get them to all of us, so that we can all take a look at them.
Sure, good.
I think
Back
that,
when this was set up, back in the early nineties, I was, as I recall, an awful lot of it was setting this up because there was a lot of people going, you know, if we're gonna take over this thing, we're gonna put the town in liability, you know, let's form this and have all the liability on them. So, you know, that's one level of autonomy that I was always under the impression that was part of setting us up in the first place.
Actually,
That's right.
my wife had some hesitation about me joining the board for that reason. It was like, are you setting yourself for, you know, a lawsuit somewhere down the line here because somebody doesn't like the outcome, or?
Yeah.
That's why we have the first thing we make sure it gets paid every year is
insurance.
director's insurance, director's liability insurance.
You know, there's
Above
clearly
all
a
else.
separation from the town, but
Right.
there's over.
But there's overlap,
There's
and
always some
we just need to define these
Doesn't
stuff.
Okay,
mean
so
that-
who's gonna do what?
Well, right now, I'll send a message to Beth and ask her to scan in the bylaws and all of that other paperwork.
Okay,
Do you want one of us to share town council's contact information, or do you want to and just see?
Well, I can have a discussion with council. I think there needs to be a bigger, I didn't realize Bacon Wilson set up your original.
All that 501 paperwork was prepared by Bacon Wilson.
So maybe somebody has to reach out to them.
Yeah.
first. But we also need to talk to MassDOT. Don't you need approval from MassDOT to spend that money on legal? Does this have to wait till the next meeting?
I don't think we have a category for legal, but we do have a category for repairs and fixing holes and things, and we got a big hole in this.
So I don't know. So
I'm sure they will not object.
Well, this is an email conversation. You talk to them,
Right.
I'll get
So by
with
the next
Beth,
meeting, we should
we'll
have-
scan in the stuff by the
And
next.
get an
meeting.
idea of what it might cost.
Yeah.
They'll support that. They probably even want to have their own counsel look into it also.
Well, Beth has communicated with, and, you know, because one of the things we were talking about is there must be other EDICs that have bylaws and have done all, you know,
I asked Amanda to look into
everything,
that.
all of that, and Beth had spoken to her as well.
Okay, good.
So we'll do that.
All right.
One thing I want to suggest strongly is, I'd like to get our town clerk to come and give us, a primer or lesson or whatever. When we were down there, we were finding, on the tops of the desks and everything, lots of old stuff. And like a shredding pile was started. I'm concerned with document retention. We don't need 12 copies of something, but if paperwork filtered through here that had anything more, it's by law, we have to save it.
Yeah.
Well, we have been saving it. The problem is.
Yes, I know. But, so
We say
now
that-
we have a shred pile because it's old, but I don't think that matters. And I just don't
Right.
want to shred anything. Even when I was talking with, a former chairman has a lot of stuff physically at their home.
Right.
That I have volunteered to go and get. And I said, if I have to go there 12 times, like you're right across the street, I'll drive over, I'll get the boxes, don't worry about shredding or anything else, and I'll just bring them here, just so we can iron that out. We also got that new guidance on the
Yeah.
agenda and the minutes and stuff that we have to follow. I just, and Robert's Rules of Order, with how we conduct business at meetings. I just don't think it would be a bad thing to have a little agenda piece on document retention and the structure of the meetings and the minutes and the agendas.
We certainly.
And
put them
this, and this whole issue, with the recording of the minutes and using the town go-to-meeting site versus our own, all of that, just to have it, we can follow something if it's laid out clearly for us to follow it, we can do that, but I don't think that perhaps that's ever happened.
So.
I don't remember a visit from the town clerk.
We can set something up. She manages our, public records requests, so she's pretty familiar with the record retention laws. There is a schedule. Not everything has to be kept forever. Some stuff can go up for 3 years, 6 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
Some things you need approval from the record retention board, from the state. You have to send them a list of items and then they'll say, yeah, you can get rid of it or not. I always wait on the side of if we have room to keep it, because somebody's gonna
That's what we've been doing.
someday.
Yeah.
Somebody named Beth and Cheryl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you have redundant documents, that's,
One thing.
one thing. There's also a room in the basement of Tagil that is full of world plans. And most of them are building plans and those buildings are gone.
Right.
They
We kept
need-
all of that because,
They need to be out of there. We gotta find a better place for them.
yeah, but we did keep them because we needed that as we developed and took down buildings and to understand what was in,
Used them a lot.
it was used a lot, actually.
Yeah. Okay. So,
But may not be necessary now that
somebody should go through them.
it's history.
Yeah.
Maybe the Stonehouse would like to have a set of things that memorializes.
I don't think the Stonehouse wants anything to do with this day school, they never have.
So the admin building into a museum?
That's
Yes.
what I was just
I don't
going
think I
to,
would
that's what I was just
throw
gonna
it
address, because I've been told that by the historical commission, that there absolutely will be a museum in the admin building. I was just like, oh, where will, I don't know that we'll ever get that admin building developed, fixed, so that there
Gotta find the clock first.
don't absolute anything, when it comes to that. But I was assuming that that's where, that would not be our disposition of those things, like, hey,
Give me the
museum
keys, I'll
people,
find it.
come
All
and,
right, so
come and get your stuff.
steps going forward. You and Beth will contact attorneys.
Yep.
And get started on our status and what is the requirements for our status, both of those
Can you
things.
do that without going to MassDev first, or are you trying to get MassDev's permission outside of the meeting
MassDev doesn't need to give permission for us to understand our status.
to spend the budget?
Oh, I think the question, we have to ask the attorneys and see if Bacon and Wilson has any records, which they would provide, they should provide us to us free of charge. That's whatever work they did, they got paid for. So even though it was in $1992.
So Bacon and Wilson would be the first step.
Yeah.
I can reach out to council, see if they're willing to work on this project.
And we get an estimate of what we think it might take. As soon as we understand what might or might not have been filed, or if there's no answer to that question, then an estimate of what it would take to get us to a point that the law requires us to be at.
I was also hoping to get, because Steve Lanfear's signature is the one on all of them. So I'm hoping to see if Steve would call perhaps, if they didn't go through the next step, why they didn't. What decision was made that stops that? Because Bill was very adamant that none of those things existed.
That none of those.
Bill said, we don't have bylaws and we aren't a corporation, we're just a town committee, and so I had, it's been a mass of conflicted
All right, so we've
information.
got next steps with the lawyers.
Right.
We've got to find place to, I think, a parallel thing is all of the material and how to manage it short term. We need guidance on how to manage it long term, records retention and so on. So if you and Beth can move those things forward, you need additional help, call on members to help. And keep us posted. I think it's good that we're gonna have that done. One question I would ask is whether or not those bylaws are sufficient or sufficiently simple for us to operate under them. Okay? Because, we've just got, I think we only have one regulation that we've adopted in the last 10 years, which is if you miss 3 meetings out of 5, you're off. And I don't even know if the select board approved that. I think they did.
See, that's the whole thing with everything.
Right, but
And-
that's the only
and does it require?
And
select
then to
board
try to
approval?
follow Robert rules of order.
Yeah, we don't even know if it requires it. That's the other thing. So it definitely have to get legal involved. We'll bring
We
it,
can adopt whatever we want as guidelines as long as they're not illegal. So that's kind of up to us, but we have to meet the legal requirements. So thank you. And thanks to Beth for moving that along and diving in. Okay, are we ready to move on? Anybody else on this?
Well, I was gonna ask, at what point are you comfortable spending money on legal? You wanna run this up the flagpole to Mastev, or I don't know if it's up the flagpole or
Yeah,
across the table?
I have to give Amanda a debrief from our meeting
Okay.
tomorrow.
Mention it.
Yeah, so I will be asking about if we can move forward, at least at these initial steps. They'll probably want to know they may offer their own lawyers, and they may want to know how much it will cost. So
If they would do legal review, that'd be fine.
maybe.
well, why don't we I'm gonna get Beth to, if she can't scan them in, I'll run and pick them up and I'll scan in. So we
Yeah,
have
that'll be good.
electronic copies of those.
Thank you.
You can scan them too.
Thank
So just get them scanned in, make sure everybody has them. So if you have any, questions or whatever, look through them. And again, my same comments about the validity of a master plan that's more than 10 years old. And with, when AI wasn't a thing, COVID wasn't a thing, our entire businesses, everything else, the whole world is different from when that master plan was created. So there's a lot of things that we need to.
We followed procedures for the master plan. The master plan was approved by the town.
I
Town
understand
meeting.
that, but master plans are typically redone every 10 years. That's standard business.
Well, ours was reapproved, yeah. We have already agreed that we are going to revisit what it means to redo the master plan, what it takes, and then start looking at what we would want it to say. Okay? So we've already agreed that we're gonna be doing that. But not tonight.
But not tonight. No, that's what I'm saying. This is all
So
a
we're
part
gonna
of
move to the
governance.
next item on the agenda,
city town.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Next item is after governance schedule, our schedule. We're currently on 2 meetings a month.
Let's go back to 1 meeting a month, third Wednesday.
Right, except that the grant extension probably would be ready at our next meeting, which would be early December. I don't know why, for us to sign, vote and sign, we have to vote and sign.
Grant extension? Oh, that.
Parcel D.
Parcel D.
So that's the only thing I think. We are not gonna have Mass Development has not yet had let's see how I can say this accurately. We are aware that Mass Development communicated to Brissa and to Sydney Development, Ahmad Graham, that the extension that we had offered had expired. And that Mass Development and EDIC would be very happy to discuss with him his plans for going forward and what he might like to do. Mass Development has not yet heard from him. He's working with another, under the banner of Sydney Capital, his own company, and with another partner. The status of that partnership has not been reported to Mass Development yet, nor has a business plan or general plan, been provided to Mass Development yet. I'm told that's not unusual because they have to work out, new business partners have to work out things, and the finances all are involved. They don't expect to be able to bring back to us their assessment of a business plan, which they haven't received yet, until January. So
What makes them think they'll get it in January?
they don't know. They
Yeah,
just,
they didn't give him a deadline. They didn't say to.
well, that may come up. I mean, they may give
Because
him,
we all asked him how much time. He said, a couple weeks, and it is a couple, now it's a couple more. So we're a month away from when they told him a couple weeks.
I don't think anything from them should hold us up.
Well,
Anything from who?
don't forget,
From-
bird in the
did-
hand. Bird in the hand is also true, and I understand Mass Development's point on this. I don't feel I think what gets them off the dime is a for sale sign. I think that's what gets everybody off the dime, is getting signs up there and everything else and saying, hey, move it
As
or
of-
use it, lose it.
as of the expiration of the extension,
Mhm.
we technically do not have responsibility or a requirement to work with anybody specific.
Correct.
That's just simply the way
Right.
these
expired.
things work.
Right.
They expire. And as you point out, there have been 2-3 years worth of work, 4 years worth of work on a project with plans and architectural drawings and approvals and board meetings and so on, which is a lot of work.
Mhm.
And I don't feel informed enough to throw that out the window tonight.
I just think it's.
Do you?
I think it's inadvisable to throw it out the window. He could show up on,
Yeah, so
Tuesday
I'm just
after
trying to
next with everything
trying to
he
get a
needs.
sense of what direction to go in here.
I think it's prudent to encourage them to get everything, but I also
Right.
think that they need
They
to
need a
know.
deadline.
They need a deadline, exactly.
Period.
And I
Okay.
asked Robert twice.
Yeah.
About a deadline, and they don't have one. So let's get a deadline.
And certainly they could mention that was discussed at our meeting and we're wondering what's happening and the process, this goes into the other issue of the tracking system for potential interest.
And,
Yeah.
through the email.
Yeah. So I think the fact that we discussed tonight and are looking for deadlines should be communicated to Mass Development tomorrow.
Mhm.
The next step will be still for a plan that is submitted, if it is submitted, to be reviewed by their management team in Mass Development. Because they have to analyze the business plan, the finances, the credentials of whomever's going to be involved, et cetera. That will be a next step, which we probably will not be invited to. It was suggested, that's a technical review, and they're gonna take the tenor of whatever the new plan looks like, et
Exactly.
cetera. But they will post us on, they will bring us the results of their analysis.
Right.
For us to chew over and work on with them and make some decisions about.
Yeah, just that we need a deadline on that.
Yeah, and I wrote that down, so.
I thought in that last letter that was sent to Ahmad, there was a deadline.
I think it was just the end of the,
No, I don't think it was a deadline.
you don't think that was it? Like if it expires on?
That's when I went out last month, was it, Jonathan?
We'd like the opportunity to. No,
No, there was no deadline on it?
I'm looking at it.
Well, Robert said he didn't give him a deadline.
Yeah, it just simply said, given that it's fundamental change in the ownership of the purported developer and buyer, Mass Development would like the opportunity to consider and negotiate a new agreement with Sydney Capital related to the project, aiming to find a feasible path forward that is acceptable to all parties. We recognize and appreciate your continued interest and look forward to discussing this further with you. That was it.
Okay, so
In the letter, they probably have communicated it to him. They do ask him what's up, so
Well,
they're poking.
there is a deadline on the books right now. They have until the end of the, Breeza has until the end of the calendar year, right? Isn't December 30th,
No, the extension is expired.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it just happened.
it expired?
Yeah.
Was it? I thought it was the end of the year though.
I kind of did too.
I thought
We did say
The
one was the end
extension.
of the year and SR's was at the
SR
end
was
of
November.
SR's was November, yeah.
I thought Breeza was.
Oh, you're correct about that.
Yeah.
The extension, however, they determined legally that it was no longer valid because the extension was with the buyer.
Because the main
And the buyer has
main
indicated they're no longer
financer
going to
had pulled out.
participate, so
There is
therefore,
no agreement.
there's no agreement.
Right, okay. So then, yes, if Sydney Capital, okay, so what you're trying to say is if Sydney Capital wants to.
Pick up and
Give us
continue to
something.
player,
Give us
they have-
something.
So
Technically, they've given us nothing.
They're given, I mean,
Sydney, reset it.
no, we don't know anything about Sydney.
Sydney owns those plans. Those are commitments he made. That's his business with all of the parties who did that work for him. And they are owed money to some extent, which is why they indicated they wanted to stay with the project. We don't know the finances.
Right.
That's their
Which is
business.
key.
That's their business.
Well, the stuff that they have to get to Mass Dev. that's-
So
that's
there's
what
a number of
Mass
moving pieces
Right.
that he has to see if he can pull together that make business sense. So it's not like it's,
Dev- Well, we're just gonna tell them that they need a deadline. They're either gonna meet it or they're not.
we're gonna suggest to Mass Development that we're gonna report that BEDIC feels it's important to set a deadline.
Okay. And then where are you hoping in this same line, since we're talking about to address that, where in the agenda did you feel that email that I said needed to be a part of our thing that Amanda sent to NAIA Plotkin, basically, don't call us, we'll call you?
Well, that's on there's a report from my conversation with Amanda that we still haven't gotten to.
Okay, fine.
About the tracking system. And it relates to that, right? It's about,
I don't think it involves a tracking system at all, but that's okay.
well, it relates to marketing, right?
It relates to the result of marketing.
Okay, so let me just do the tracking system. They're pulling together a tracking system, which we we'll see at the next meeting. It's not gonna be anything really fancy. Who called, when, who talked to whom, which is essentially what we wanted to understand. A way for us to bring our contacts and leads and stuff into a concentrated area, concentrated information system for the purpose of keeping track of things and making sure things don't get lost. That was one of the issues we were trying to address. One of the elements of that will be us understanding, us including Mass Development and maybe the town, I want to speak for the town, who should be talking to whom. who does talk to whom at any point in time in that process. If we've got a sheet with 17 people who have, had a cup of coffee and said, gee, I'd like to build over there, right on up to, huge developers from New York City who want to put up a skyscraper. We need some control over who talks to whom and how and when. And also we need some control over confidentiality, which, as our real estate people know, is often an important thing in transactions or explorations and so on. And we should.
I don't think we should give them anything until they sign a contract with an agent. Because if we give them that, and then also they have like 20 named exclusions that they talk to in the contract with the agent, what agent's gonna want that?
We're talking about an agent specifically.
No, just a brokerage.
A brokerage, right.
Yeah, so
This is
like,
sort of like a step before that.
yeah, I'm just saying if we give them like, hey, we have this buyer that's interested, like I don't want them to have in the contract named exclusions if anybody that said anything, because we need to sell these. And I don't trust Mass Dev to follow up. They might follow up, but they have other stuff on their plate where an agent wants their money.
So
they'll
having the
follow up.
tracking system is something we can then ask them about. Have you followed up?
Yeah.
That's one of the purposes of setting this up, which is what
They
we
need to
discussed,
hire
right?
Blockin or somebody similar, just
I mean,
let's get it rolling.
But the
Again,
same issues,
we need more than a tracking system.
well,
We need a point person that's
I'm
not
trying to
Mass
keep the
Dev.
conversation focused. We asked for a tracking system so we can know who was talking for whom. That's what I'm talking about. The next step is, what do we do about getting a broker to work with us if we get a broker to work with us? Okay, so the tracking system has two critical things that we have to establish with mass development. And that will be, how do we use it? Who talks to whom when? Okay? The second is about confidentiality. And we have to own that. Because we're really here on site. So we'd have to come up with some guidelines for ourselves and understand it. Those of you in real estate or real estate experience have a greater sense of the confidentiality issues around property sales than I certainly do. But all of us have to understand that together and collectively. So that's something which I would ask our real estate people to start thinking about. What are the points of confidentiality so that we could all own them and observe them? Okay? And then with the tracking system, we can openly discuss things if we have good confidentiality agreement amongst ourselves, etc. All right? So if our real estate people, maybe Matt, you want to start thinking about making a list of some of the elements that we should consider keeping confidential at the moments in a process when things might be confidential. That might be helpful. Get us going on that. It seems obvious perhaps to those who have worked.
To people in the business, yeah.
That's my point.
It seems obvious
Yeah.
that what you're doing it, but more importantly is you hire a broker takes care of confidentiality, everything else.
We still need to have our own sense of confidentiality around that if what
We
we're
do.
gonna do is insist to be included in the
Right.
processes, included in the meetings and the discussions.
Mhm.
We have to observe the appropriate confidentiality.
Yes,
So those pieces have to go hand in hand. I don't disagree with you. But those are separate things that will mesh together. Okay, so Matt, maybe you can start thinking about that. Ask anybody else who's got real estate experience. I know Bob does, you do, Sharon.
yes,
Cheryl.
a lot. And as does everyone else. I guess,
We're not gonna do
What
it
I'm-
tonight. I'm just suggesting we need to do that. So now if we
so on
want
the
to,
update with Amanda, it is, and the other things, is there a reason MassJet doesn't want to get this property listed? So that the world knows it's for sale.
you know that there's a reason.
Is there a reason?
Is there a reason?
Yeah.
I don't believe there is. I think they have an expectation that we need certain things clear. For example, the valuation of the property.
Again, a broker can do that for us. To a degree, and it's free. It's not paid for. I mean, Matt brought that up at another meeting, yeah, we would obviously, the realtors, the real estate professionals here, whatever, would look at what they came in, check their comps, make sure that they were good, everything else. Whoever buys the property is gonna end up with appraisal anyway. Appraisals cost a lot of money. Everybody uses the same comps to call them up. I don't think I've ever been more than 2% off of what an appraisal was, have you?
Yeah, not a good one, but yeah.
Yeah,
Well, Mass Development is in the process of putting out an RFP, and they expect within the month to have an appraiser and an appraiser underway, which they're paying for.
for us, they're loaning us the money to pay.
Well, I
for
mean,
it.
for an example, I have a house that I'm gonna be listed. I think it's worth $550, but they had an appraisal done and they said $666. So some people know the market better than an appraiser.
I don't disagree with that at all, but it's a step that we have. We suffered an audit several years ago. I don't know if you're aware of that or if
Yeah,
you've
you
ever seen it.
mentioned it, that you.
It was the State Audit Bureau. The State Audit Bureau audited us, and one of the things they said we have to be diligent about is getting appropriate appraisals for the properties before selling, because we were selling just for the sake of selling.
So I guess the question is if they have an RFP going out for an appraiser, which is, I guess, debatable, from somebody with no real estate experience, I'm questioning how you get accurate comps on properties in Belchertown that are unique. We don't have industrial properties.
Exactly. It's very
But
difficult.
That's not,
So you find like communities.
hold on. I think the question would be, is Mass Development running an RFP at the same time for a broker? So that when the results of the appraiser come in, they can have a broker ready to go and give them that data.
I have not heard that they are.
Okay, that would be a question.
But I asked Robert, I think it was 6 meetings ago, if an RFP was required to hire a broker, because they're not handing the broker any money. And Robert said it wasn't required. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't want to do it, a good practice, or, cover somebody's behind, whatever the case may be. But is it required? I think is the first question. If it is required, it ought to be happening simultaneously.
Got it. Okay. I suggested that the appraisal cover the entire property and then all the separate parcels separately. So we'll have, the appraisal that does come back will give us a sense of that. And then with our expertise and knowledge, we can figure out, I think Mass Development will value our sense of the market here. They have to. And we'll be able to figure out what kinds of prices actually should be attached to properties.
And there are formulas,
Sure.
that even a broker would use or the other, and
Right.
Matt and I have had conversations about
Right.
this, just in real estate, Bob, I'm sure. How the appraisers, they weigh in. Well, this one has this one hasn't that, you're gonna get this differential. So they're gonna, the appraisers are gonna try and find properties that are in a similar rural location like ours,
Right.
in community towns within Massachusetts, to do what they can. But then you add and subtract from what we got, what they
Yeah.
don't.
I think what would be an interesting exercise is to see the broker and the appraiser come together on a number.
Exactly.
So that's why I asked, can they run both of these processes at the same time?
I don't see why not, but unless,
And then.
we'll have an
EDIC
answer tomorrow at 10 a.m.
To be part of that process, listening to that exchange and
Yeah.
getting their 2 cents.
Yeah.
So now you're getting a broker's opinion, you're getting an appraisal, you're getting your own experience, and we'll have some pricing that will probably stick.
And the reason I asked if there was a reason they weren't, because you remember Amanda said that there were some leads she had through LoopNet and Crexy that she wanted to reach out with. I don't know that prompted you bringing up the exclusions list or not, what she said there, because that is true. A broker is gonna say, wait a minute, you just excluded the top 4 developers, or whatever the case may be. They've got to look in that. And My thing on paying a broker is you only pay a broker for success, and we determine the success. We determine how much money we want for something,
All right.
and they get it.
And we want them being excited, we don't want
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, and rewarded for their work,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
It took me a year to close for, that property, E, you know, for the triangle. That was a year of a broker's time, so intense. I can't even tell you how many times I traveled to at the time, Boston, Bulkley, Richardson, Jelinas, that's who was representing
Correct.
EDIC at the time.
Correct.
You know, I was in downtown Springfield constantly,
You're talking about
and this is
Route
before
21,
I was
202
ever paid a
triangle.
dime, yes,
And that was specifically mentioned in the audit.
I'm sure it was.
And as one of the reasons why we should be required to get appraisals.
And it was that success breeds success, you know, first gamble, I mean, everything came up in the world for it. But it went back and forth, and there was another parcel as
Okay,
well.
okay.
But, I just, I was disappointed in the response.
So why don't you report what the response was? I don't have it in front of me. You got it?
Yeah, I don't have it here.
I guess, and while she's looking that up, the other question is if an RFP is not necessary to hire a broker, what process would be?
Right, because they did mention we may not get a broker.
Well,
So-
they said they could act as their own agent, I guess. But they.
And in the past, we have done that.
Correct.
So,
But I guess if they're not gonna do an RFP and they're gonna reach out to brokers, you know, what is that process gonna look like? Is EDIC gonna interview and make the final decision? But again, that goes back to, can we run this at the same time? Because the select board wanted to
well,
see-
we'll have an answer to that at 10 a.m. tomorrow.
The select board wanted to see signs up. They wanna see property home, you know, and I'm sure you do too. you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good points. Sherry, did you find it?
I did. I'm not on the, is it like guest, is there a password, can you get it?
Yeah. Belchertown,
Belchertown.
lowercase.
It's all lowercase, okay, thank you. But, so, the broker that contacted Masco reached back out to him. This is what came from the broker. I wanted to follow up with you on behalf of our team here at, you know, to see if there was any status updates or further thoughts about how we can help with the disposition of the properties in Belchertown. Please let me know if you'd like to connect, how our team can assist. Amanda's response was, good to connect with you. We appreciate work we are currently engaged in with company,
Your company.
right, through said agent in Northampton. We do not have a brokerage vendor opportunities to share currently, but can let you know if in the future, as we are carving out benchmarks with EDIC. At this time, Mass Development will be first updating land valuations of properties on and within Carriage Grove. Thanks for checking in. So we'll call you if we're gonna have any brokerage opportunities. I believe strongly. You watched our selectmen's meeting this week, you heard how there's 3 capitalists on that, select board. I believe in having things transparent and open in the air, and competition is an important thing. And if, I know you get very frustrated with me, I know you do, but if the world doesn't know this place is for sale, there's no competition to buy it. And people who do know think they've got it in the bank, because nobody else knows about it. Or Hamad would be moving faster.
I'm not frustrated with you.
I mean,
I'm not frustrated with you. I'm just confined by what I understand to be process that's different than what you understand to be process.
because we have to
sometimes-
have success.
Sometimes you're right, and you're following up on a lot of that. And sometimes I believe I'm right. And we need to find out what is right when we differ. Or even if we agree, is it right? That's where I'm at. So,
I'm
In this
concerned that
instance-
Mass Dev is even considering not hiring a broker.
that, you don't think they are considering it?
I don't.
We don't know.
No, well, they're not a, but
What would
they're
be
not
best-
talking like they want to hire one.
They're talking like there are legal issues that they don't want to transgress on right now. And we've just had an issue with a previous, we just did not renew our contract with a previous broker that is very close in time to when those communications took place. And I don't know whether that is,
This was
Effective.
days ago.
that's my point. So
No, as in like,
I think what's more important is for us to understand together how we want to go forward and how we want to approach it. And then work with mass development to make as much of that happen as possible. Frankly, I don't think there's anybody who wants this property sold faster than mass development, because they're gonna get a lot of money when it's sold. Now, the
They're
town
gonna get
obviously,
paid when it's sold.
yeah, they can only get paid when it's sold. So,
Little bit, little bit, little bit,
but they're
little
a
bit.
big bureaucracy. And we're a little tiny dot on their list of things to do. So we have to be as aggressive and as directive as possible in that relationship. So what do we want to see? That's the question. What do we want?
Signs.
Signs.
Yeah.
It's for sale.
good start.
And who do you call?
Agencies that have track records.
No. When you put up a sign, whose phone number goes on it?
Cart before the horse.
Oh, so that's what I'm asking. What is the,
Cart before the horse.
let's look at the
Whatever-
bridle then, and what do we do first?
They get an agent to give values, sign a contract if everybody agrees to the values and list it.
As soon as we get the values, we can list, or do we?
No,
need
no,
to
the
vote?
agent can give us the values and then we can get them confirmed, or they can run a simultaneous track as Steve suggested.
Yeah.
I
But they
guess,
shouldn't be pushing a broker away. They should be talking to one.
It felt like that communication was sort of
Don't
hands-off,
call us, we'll call you. That's exactly what it felt like.
except that they mentioned they're already working with somebody from their agency.
oh, in a.
On a
in
separate
Northampton.
property in Northampton.
Right, but they're working with the agency already. That was, all right.
Well, I think there needs to be some clarification on what mass development's plans are with hiring a broker before we talk any further. I mean, are they looking, or are they gonna do it this themselves?
Yeah.
You know,
It seemed like Amanda was saying they were gonna do it themselves for a while
you know.
to avoid having to pay a broker. I say pay a broker. I wanna have success.
So, and whose decision is it ultimately? Does the EDIC have any say?
I think if we really want to have a broker soon, they'll do that. It's one less thing on their plate.
So when's our next meeting, and maybe we'll have an answer by then?
Our next meeting?
Yeah. I should
Well,
say.
if we're gonna have that.
That was how this all got started. This is the stuff we have to do.
Right.
And this informs when we want to meet.
Because they'll be here for the next meeting.
That's not a regular
No.
meeting.
That's not a
That
regular
was one of
meeting.
the
Well,
add-ons.
this was a regular meeting.
Yeah.
That will be the, what, the 5th,
So we're not here tonight then.
December 5th
Right.
and
That's what
December
I was wondering
19th.
too, when you said it.
So I guess will they come to the extra meeting since they didn't
No.
make this meeting?
They might be able to participate electronically.
Correct, yeah.
Why do we need, 2 meetings next month?
Well, that's how I started this conversation. Because
Exactly, I mean, it's,
the
So
question
does
is,
that
what do we gotta get
document-
done?
But you mentioned a document that
Sounds
has
like
to
you
get
wanna find out
signed.
about a broker.
Does that have to get signed on the
They're
fifth?
just chasing their
Can it get
tail.
We
signed?
have to take a vote.
But does that vote and that signature have to happen on the fifth, or can it happen after that?
That will let the money flow for parcel D.
Well, that can wait then. We don't have to have that.
Ask him. Ask him about that.
What's the minimum to do before the meeting can happen? And then how long is it gonna take to get that minimum to do? And then you know when the meeting can be. If you gotta do 17 things, the meeting's not gonna happen the first week of December.
Yeah, it's,
There's only 2 things to do that could happen.
it's the
Right.
third
They're the 2 things
Wednesday.
you gotta do.
We got Thanksgiving coming up.
Right.
Nobody's gonna be ready. It's gonna come up in like 2 business days.
Right.
Another meeting. So I'd say we
Meeting
need to fire it out in a
sure.
month.
January?
Enough tail chasing here.
So
I think we should go back to just our regular meeting.
Yes,
December 19th. Okay,
motion seconded.
December 19th?
Second.
Is that correct?
isn't that it?
That's a Friday.
So this, December 17th. Thank you. Thank you. Little sanity here. Okay.
Yeah, I won't be here on the 19th.
December 17th. And at that meeting, we may or may not hear anything, probably not from Sydney Capital, but we want these questions clarified and answered about the appraisal and the brokerage and getting up signs, et cetera.
And a deadline for Sydney.
And a what?
A deadline for Sydney Capital.
Don't forget that.
Deadline, no, I have that down too, yes. Okay, and maybe we'll tackle what the issue of confidentiality and how do we hold that? So we're all aware of what that is.
And
All
your,
right.
and your same thing about who talks to who. And in the meantime,
Yeah.
I would offer this suggestion.
Yeah.
If any calls come in, Mr. Williams, you know, to the town of interested in EDIC property, et cetera, perhaps it's best to have the real estate seat professional person speak with them?
I always forward them to the committee.
No, I'm just saying amongst us. I think Matt, he's out there selling in this world. I mean, I think he'd be a good person to talk with people who are, approach the town
I
that
could
they're
refer him
interested
to
in.
an agent, so I won't like benefit from it.
Exactly, but this
Well,
isn't
I
like
didn't think you
initial,
would
and then you refer them to Mass Dev.
Yeah.
Until such time as we have an agent, then you refer them to the new agent.
So you're suggesting that Matt be the screen?
Yes.
So my process was if I was to get a call, I'd refer them to an agent and be like, these are the numbers you have to call, because I also don't want them to have like named exclusions and try to kick out any brokerage for, like, they're saving pennies and not looking at dollars, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Right, so, like, we need to make sure everything's covered and we have people represented.
Okay, good.
So.
That's good. All right. Master plan, they're looking at the legal issues and the zoning issues. Mass Development is doing that. These are just a couple of quick reports here. And that's it. All right,
Can I ask our selectman something here?
sure.
Battery storage company, have they been directed to anybody?
I don't know about the battery storage
Okay,
company.
all right. I'm mistaken then. I thought you had said that you had heard that there was battery storage wanting a piece of land out back.
Yep.
I
Okay,
didn't hear
This is the kind of stuff that we're
Yeah.
gonna have to figure out how to
Exactly.
manage.
exactly.
In a way, this is exactly it. Okay? All right. Anybody bold enough to,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you.
Second.
Second.
Or
Third.
fourth,
Non-debatable,
fifth.
all in favor?
Aye.
500.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Talk to you.
Thank you all. Okay.
You can come here, chairs. Maybe like a couch.